Hi, everyone. I'm Erica Gifford, and I'm here with Don Vernon. We're from Next Innovations, and we are so excited to be releasing our new line of blanks for sublimation, including wind spinners. And today we're going to show you how to work with our templates to make quick and easy designs. So Don here is a graphic designer, although he does not like the title, and he's going to share his screen.
Good.
Awesome. Okay, Don. So our wind spinners are really beautiful products. The way you work with them is that you print them flat and then bend them out. We have our template formatted as a PDF. However, you can do a converter and use it as a PNG. So Don, how do we get started here?
Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to set up for an 11 by 17 printer. Sometimes people have 8.5 by 11 printers, 11 by 17 printers, but this presentation will be for an 11 by 17 printer. So I'm going to go to File, New, and I'm going to create a document that's 11 by 17 because that's the size of my printer.
And your paper.
And my paper, correct. So now the next step after we create this is we have to import or place the template.
And the file type you want to use is RGB color 300 DPI to create your file for the best color saturation when printing.
And I'm just going to locating my template now. I have an 11 by 17 PDF template that I'm going to place.
Boom,
Like so.
There we go.
So now I have my template here, so I can create all my masks for dropping art into from this template.
And the green area is the bleed. The red area is the rings on our wind spinner, and the black area is the center. So to start with, you're going to separate the layers into the masking layers.
Yes, so the way we do that is this background layer is our actual page, so I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to call this bleed layer. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. And I'm going to call this the ring layer, which is the red area of the template. And I'm going to do it again. I'm using the background layer parameters because that's the way everything stays the same size. And this one's will be called the center layer. Like so. So now I have my 3 layers here that I'm going to create for masking of this particular artwork. So the first thing I'm going to work on is the center layer. So I have to go over here and I have to grab my magic wand tool here. And I bring it over the template and I click one time, and as you see, it selects the red area, which is the ring layer area that I want to drop my art in. So I'm going to drop that to this layer, and then once I get it to there, then I'm going to go to Edit, Cut. And that's going to cut out my area of masking for the ring layer.
Nice.
Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the center area, the center layer, which is black on this template. And I'm going to move it to the center layer. And then I'm again going to do an edit cut. As you can see here, I'll show you when we get them made what they look like. But right now we're creating this. So now we have one layer left to do here, and this is the bleed layer, which is going to be green. So I have to select the green layer here. And as you can see, it's just selecting the green color, so I have to actually deselect what I don't want, because at this particular instance, I only want the outside edge of this, which is green. So I'm going to deselect everything that I don't want. Using the direct selection tool, using the shift key to make it go to a plus. As you can see here, it changes to a plus. That means I can deselect it. So now I have my outside area here selected for my bleed. And I'm going to move that to my bleed layer. And then again, I'm going to do an edit cut.
Awesome. Now,
So
what about the marks layer with the
Yep, we're going to do the same thing too. We're going to create another layer for marks. Call it marks layer. Again, we're just setting up a basic template for creating designs here. And I'm going to zoom in on my marks so that I can select that color, because the marks are in blue. And the reason that all these are in different colors is so that they're easily selectable for creating your working file. So I selected my blue here, and then I'm going to go up to here, and I'm going to select similar. So that's going to select all the other blue items in this layer. As you can see now, all my blue is selected.
Very cool.
And then I'm going to move that to the marks layer, and then I need to make them a color because I want them in all my images. So I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to fill, because I want them to be black for marks. So
The reason we use the marks layer is because the wind spinners are two-sided. As we show you the end of the instructions, when you print, you line up the marks on both sides of the wind spinner to do a double-sided print. So that's why we have the marks.
Okay, so I'm going to fill these marks with black, and then now I have my marks layer. So now I'll show you what we've created. Trying to deselect here.
And as Dawn is showing you this, we have the instructions written out in a Word doc that you can follow along with as you are referencing this video and creating your art. So go to the bottom of our video and you will find the Word doc instructions to help guide you as you do it over and over. Awesome. So that is the center area.
So yeah, so when we bring our pictures in, this is basically going to be our mask area, or if you want to think of it as a window for where the image that's going to go in the center of this wind spinner is.
The window.
And then here we have the ring layer, which is all your copy that you're going to have in this area, your image.
Awesome.
And then here, this is the bleed area. Basically the bleed area and the ring layer are basically going to be the same artwork, because you have to get image all the way out to this outside edge here, which is the bleed edge. So this will be our final mask. When we have our art design, this will be our final mask that we use for clipping off the image.
Awesome. And that is because when we print, we want the image to go all the way over. It gives us a little bit of wiggle room to ensure that every piece and part of the wind spinner has the print on it.
Yeah, when you print these, you have to have bleed. You can't print right to the edge of the wind spinner. So, the cut wind spinner. So you have to have bleed so that it's actually larger than the actual cut area.
Beautiful.
Wind spinner.
All right. So what are we going to put inside of our wind spinner?
Okay, let's start with the center. I'm going to turn on this layer because I'm going to put the image. So now I'm going to go get my I'm going to open my picture that I want to put in the center. I'm going to go find that picture here right now.
The suspense is killing me, Don. The suspense is killing me. What are we putting in there?
Well, as you know, file management, you have to get, you have to find where your images are. I guess I'm not very organized for finding my images here.
That is like a tricky thing in life, isn't it? Keeping all of the files organized and finding them quickly when you need them. I struggle with that.
Okay, here we go. I found it. Okay, so I'm just gonna use an example here of a sunflower.
Ooh, a sunflower.
You can see a sunflower now.
Oh, that's stunning.
So you can see here that this is a new document. My document here is my working document, and this is the file that I just opened. And I want to copy this image into my document. So I'm gonna go to edit. Select all. Trying to find that. Okay, so I selected all, and then I'm going to go to edit, cut this. So now it's there, and I'm going to bring it over here into this document, and then I'm going to place it. I'm going to copy it into here, paste. So now it created its own layer, the image. So now we have to go on and size it. I'm going to drag this down below my center layer like this, because I only want to see what I'm going to mask.
Nice.
So now I'm going to go to edit, and I'm changing my image here, so I have to have my image layer selected. Then I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to go to transform because I want to scale it. And then you get a scale box. Then you can scale this. As you can see, you can scale it to whatever size you want. You can move it around and position it. Because we have this center layer mask, we know exactly where that area is going to be, so we know what it's going to look like when it prints. Like so. Let's just use that as an example right there.
Oh, beautiful.
And I'm going to set that, so that's going to be my center. So what it looks like without the mask. With the mask on. So eventually we're going to have to take all this outside image out of here, and I'll show you how to do that. That's in a later step. Okay, so now we're going to go get the image that we want to have for this layer, which is the ring layer here. So now I'm going to go get my image again. Open. And I'm finding my image.
As you're finding this, I mean, one of the most beautiful things about sublimation is you get that photorealistic print that you can literally do a family photo or an actual photo or just pattern. It gives you a whole lot of options with sublimation.
Okay, so I have my image here, so I'm going to select that image again, and I'm going to cut it. And then see, now I got 3 files over, and I just go back to my working file, and I'm going to paste it in here. Paste. So it just puts it in there. As you can see, there's the image, and I turn on my ring layer because this is where I want the image to be. So now I can move this around, and I go to edit. I got to make it bigger because it's not large enough to fill the area. So I'm going to go to transform, scale. And then you usually grab these by the corners. If you grab it here, it's going to basically scale the image. If you grab it from the corners, it's going to proportionately scale the image.
Yeah, because we don't want to stretch it.
So I say, okay, so there's my image. So let's say that's where I like it, and I'm going to select it there. And that's going to be what prints in my ring area of this particular item. Now what I have to do is I got to make sure I have enough bleed. So I'm going to turn on my bleed layer, and it looks like I made my image large enough so that I have image all the way out to the bleed area of the spinner, as you see there.
Beautiful.
Okay, so I got that in position. So now what we have to do is now we have to go back to here, and we gotta mask this image out here, because I only want the center part, which is right here. So I'm going to move my cursor to here, and I'm going to hold down my control key. And as you can see here, you see there's a little plus thing. Let me know that I can select that layer. So when I click on it, as you can see, it's selecting the squiggly line shows what's selected.
Oh yeah, I see it moving in the around.
So then I'm going to go back to my image layer here. And I need to cut this because I don't want this outside image there. See, now everything's there except everything's gone except what's on the inside of my layer here.
Awesome. So just cut off all of the excess image and popped it right
Yep.
in the center of our wind spinner. That's
And
awesome.
then this is actually printing on top of here, so I'm going to move it on top. So I go to here, and this is going to be my image that I'm going to print. Now I still have my marks layer up here, so I'm going to turn that layer on because we got to have our marks when we're going to make this out. So now basically we got our design completed. Now we have to prepare it for printing.
Would you want to save it at this point? So that
Oh yeah, that's a very good idea, Erica. You always want to save, because if you don't save, and if you have problems with your computer, you lose everything that we just worked on. We definitely don't want to do that. So I'm going to save as, and I'm going to pick a location. And in this case, it's just going to be my desktop. And then I got to name the, maybe can you see this now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to name, I just double clicked on this, and I'm going to name the file. What should we call this, Erica?
Let's call it polka dot sunflower. Beautiful.
And this is we're working in Photoshop, so we're gonna save it as a Photoshop file for now, because we have to keep it as a Photoshop file, because otherwise we lose all our layers.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so I saved the file. So now we have it saved.
So at this point, using that file, like let's say you were like, okay, well, I'd rather do something else on the outside or on the inside. I like the polka dots, but I'm going to change out something. You could use this file to swap things.
Yes.
Easily.
Basically these two layers here are artwork layers, so you can turn those off and you're right back to your masking, and you can just import new pictures in there.
Awesome.
So sometimes what a lot of people do is if they're creating multiple images in one file, because then you have everything saved in one file, you'll just have multiple layers for your artwork. So if I'm going to bring in a new picture, I just bring in new layers.
That's good.
So right now we only have one image in here, so then I know if I want to print this, and I would just turn on these two layers. This is my current one, but if I had other images in here underneath these mask layers, then I would just turn those layers on, and I would, when I export my final print file, I would just have the layers turned on for the artwork that I want. So
Yeah.
a lot of people do this because they can have multiple images in one file. So you don't have to have 10 different files for 10 different images. You can just keep making new layers and choosing the layers that you want for your artwork.
That's great. So once you do this once, you can use it again and again and again.
And another thing you can do here is, like, since this is kind of, this is kind of done. If I wanted here, I could just combine these layers. Basically, you go into the option, so basically it's gonna merge layers. So now the artwork's gonna be on one layer only.
Okay, awesome. So does this then become your print file, or do you have to flatten everything? And
You don't have to now I won't be able to select my dotted background, or I won't be able to select my flower anymore because I flatten those.
okay,
They're all on one layer now. So I'm just going to undo that because I want to keep those there. See, now they're back. See, as long as you have these individual layers, you can still edit that layer. But as soon as you flatten them, then you can't no longer edit the individual artwork pieces of the file. Okay, does that sound good?
Yeah, that's beautiful. So at this point, you would want to flatten this for print.
Yep, so I'm gonna save one more time because I did make a lot of changes. So I'm gonna save again. And now what we're gonna do is, now since we're preparing for printing, we have to flatten this file. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a file save as, so that I don't want to change my working file here. I'm just going to make a temporary file for creating my, so I'm going to do a save as, and then I'm going to call it Polka Sunflower print file. Sound good?
That sounds great. We could make a song out of that.
Yep. Okay, so now I have this saved as, it's called something else, so that I know that if something goes wrong, I still got my old file to go back to. Because remember, as soon as you flatten everything, then you can't change anything anymore. As you'll see now, I'll show you what it looks like when you flatten. And I'm going to go up to this little hamburger menu here, and I'm going to choose, and I'm going to say flatten image. See that there, Erica?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to flatten it, and it's going to say, uh-oh, do you realize you're going to discard all layers? And because you know this is your print file, you have to do that. So I'm going to hit OK. So now everything's on one layer. See?
Yeah, that's great. Nice and clean. So this
Nice and clean, but no, keep in mind, once it's flat, you can't change it anymore. So you only want to do this when you have your final design. Okay, now as you all know, when we die sublimate, we have to print everything backwards, correct, Erica?
Yep, you got to print it backwards so that it comes out forwards.
So what I have to do now is because basically when you send a proof to your customer, you can use this file and you could send this to your customer, and so they know what it would look like, the finished product would look like. You can use this file for that. So, but since we're making a print file, we have to mirror this now, because in die sublimation, we have to mirror everything, because when we do our pressing, it's actually done backwards. So I'm going to go up to image, and I'm going to go image rotation, and then I'm going to flip horizontal. See that there?
Yep, flip horizontal.
See, now it flipped it. It actually flipped it backwards. And this is what I'm going to want for my print file. So now I got this. So now I'm going to, once again, it's a good idea to save this, because, you know, it's just always good to save. Okay, so now I'm going to generate my print file. And here at Next Innovations, we use PDFs for our print files. You can make a JPEG out of this if you want to print JPEGs, but I'm going to show you how to make a PDF, because that's what we use here. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, or actually you want to choose Save a Copy. And then now we got the same name here, except it throws copy at the end. It's just telling me that it's not the exact same file I'm working on. So I'm just going to delete that. Like so, and then I'm going to choose Photoshop PDF. Can you see that? Okay, Erica?
Yeah, I see that.
Okay, so it's no longer going to be a Photoshop file. It's going to be a PDF file, because that's what we need for printing.
Yeah, because a JPEG would come out maybe pixelated or not as.
Well, no, long as the resolution in the file is okay, you just have to make sure when you write it out as a JPEG, you choose the right resolution, because you might want to write it out as a low resolution JPEG to show a customer, because you're limited to emailing sizes. You can't ever email anything over 10 megabytes. And since this is a print file at full resolution, we most likely wouldn't be able to email that. So generally a PDF is what we use for our files. And I'm going to hit save. I'm going to save it to my desktop. Then it's going to ask me what settings I want to use. I'm going to hit OK, and a little box will come up here, and you just want to choose high quality print. There's different options in here. Some people have custom options in here, but generally you just want to use high quality print.
Awesome.
Okay. And then you hit save PDF here. And then it's going to save out that PDF. So now I'm gonna go look at it. So I'm gonna go to where I save my file, which in this case is on my desktop. And I'm gonna open this so I can check it. And there's my print file. So this is what I'm going to send to my printer. As I mouse down here in this corner here, you see this over here?
I see a blank screen.
Oh, you see a blank screen?
I do. I don't know. It looks like denim. like a
Ah,
denim.
I'm not sure why you're not seeing that. So I basically what I'm doing is I'm viewing my PDF, and my PDF is now the print file that I'm going to send to my printer.
Awesome.
So then you're ready to print.
Print and press. And so if we are doing, can you go back to the last screen that you were on, Don?
Yeah. Here.
Yep. So if we are doing a two-sided print, and then we would want to either print this twice or print the one that is not the copy, the other side, and we could sandwich them together and align those marks, the target marks in the corners, to do a two-sided press.
Yes. So that's why we have these marks on here, because basically, you know, if you're doing a two-sided one, you'd print this out twice.
And what do we recommend for time and temp?
385 degrees for 3.5 to 4 minutes. And you can print both sides at the same time. So basically you're gonna have your paper on the bottom, you're gonna have your metal in the middle, and then your paper on the top with the register marks lined up. Now we recommend that you tape it if you can to keep the registration in line. So then what you would do is you'd put them on your press, and then you would actually press both sides at the same time.
Awesome. Sometimes people use like a sticky glue too, to get them to not shift at all. And that's another thing that people use in this. Well, this is awesome. I think this is going to be a really valuable tool for all of our customers. And to all of our customers, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to sales@nextinnovations.net. Shoot us an email. Let us know what you think. Send us pictures. We're also on Cottage Blanks on Facebook, where we are launching new products, doing giveaways. There's all sorts of things happening there. So follow us on there as well. Don, thank you so much for walking us through this today.
You're welcome, Erica.
All right. Have a great day.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.